Take a moment. Look out your nearest window. What do you see? Perhaps you see a street, a skyline of glass and steel, crisscrossed by power lines. You hear the hum of traffic, the noise of 8 billion people, the sound of the human machine. Now, close your eyes. Imagine you are looking out that same window, but there is no glass. There are no buildings. There are no streets. There is only a vast, silent forest. The air is cold, clean. The only sound is the wind and the distant cry of a large animal. This is not the past. This is today. This is planet Earth in a mirror world, a world without us. This is the greatest what-if in human history. 40,000 years ago, two human species battled for the future of this planet. There was Homo Sapiens, US, and there was Homo Neanderthalensis, them. In our timeline, we won. But what if we hadn't? What if a single random event, a plague that affected sapiens but not Neanderthals, a climatic shift we couldn't handle, had wiped us out? What if they, the stronger, hardier, larger-brained Neanderthals, had been the ones to survive? What would that world look like today? Would there be Neanderthal cities, a Neanderthal internet? Would they be composing Neanderthal symphonies or building Neanderthal spaceships? Or would the planet be a vast, silent, ice age wilderness, ruled by small, super predator families forever? This is not just a fantasy. This is a thought experiment. By imagining a world without us, we can finally understand who we are. Welcome to the cognitive leap. To build this alternate timeline, we cannot rely on mere guesswork. We must use evidence. And the evidence is the victim themselves. From our last investigation, why sapiens survived and Neanderthals didn't, we established the critical difference. It was not a failure of hardware. It was a difference in software. Let's restate the baseline. Neanderthal hardware. This was superior to ours. They were physically stronger, barrel-chested, built for the cold. Their brains were larger, 1600 cc versus our 1400 C. As we established, this larger brain was likely hyper-focused on vision and motor control, a hardware-focused mind, perfect for surviving a dark, dangerous ice age. This was their limitation. The evidence is clear. Their software lacked the cognitive revolution update. They lacked the hack for shared fiction. A planet ruled by Neanderthals would be a hardware planet. It would be a world dominated by physical reality, a world without the imaginary. And that one single difference changes everything. So let us press play on this new timeline. Sapiens are gone. The Neanderthals are the sole human species on Earth. 40,000 years pass. What happens? The most likely and most profound answer is nothing. Welcome to the Great Stagnation. If you remove the Sapiens software update, you remove the engine of change. A Neanderthal world would be a world without the 50,000-year-old event. It would be a world without the creative explosion. Let's look at technology. The Neanderthal toolkit, the Mousterian industry, was effective, but it was stagnant. It did not change for over 200,000 years. Why? Because their hardware brain was not an invention machine. It was a survival machine. In a Neanderthal world, there is no great leap forward. There is no bow and arrow. 40,000 years later, the Neanderthal of today would still be using a heavy, stone-tipped thrusting spear. Technology would be frozen in time. This is the most critical limitation. As we know from the Great Severing, Sapiens broke the 150-person Dunbar limit by using shared fiction. Gods, myths, tribes. Neanderthals lacked this software. Their trust was literal. It was hardware-based. It was limited to family. Therefore, in a Neanderthal world, society never evolves beyond the small, isolated family band, 15 to 20 individuals. Forever. There are no cities. There are no nations. There are no religions. The entire framework of our civilization cannot exist. This also means there is no agriculture. Agriculture was a social software solution invented by sapiens to feed large, static groups. Neanderthals would remain hunter-gatherers forever, and this saves the planet. Without agriculture, without cities, there is no mass deforestation. There is no industrial revolution. There is no climate change. The woolly mammoths would still be roaming Siberia. The planet would remain a wild, balanced, pristine, Ice Age garden. This is the power of a single what if. This is the kind of alternate history based on real evidence that we deconstruct here at The Cognitive Leap. We connect the dots from all our previous investigations to build a bigger picture. If you believe in this journey to understand the human paradox, then join this thought experiment. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Help us explore the worlds that almost were. But what would it be like to be a Neanderthal? What would their consciousness feel like? This is the deepest part of the what if. We must try to imagine an alternate intelligence. As we know, their hardware was different. Their 1600cc brains were larger but shaped differently. They lacked the sapiens' software for fictive language and abstract symbols. So, what was in their minds? First, it was probably less verbal. We sapiens live inside our language. We have a constant internal monologue, a narrator, the I delusion that never stops talking. A Neanderthal likely did not. Their language was likely simple. Present tense, hungry, cold, mammoth, spear. They may not have had the words for yesterday, or next week, or destiny. Second, it was probably more sensory. If your brain isn't constantly obsessing about the imaginary past and future, like our kludge brain, where does all that processing power go? It goes into the now. A Neanderthal's consciousness might have been infinitely richer in sensory detail. They heard every single leaf crack. They smelled every subtle change in the wind. It was a consciousness rooted in reality. Third, it was probably less broken. Think about our fatal flaw. Our anxiety is the product of our future-predicting software. Our imposter syndrome is the product of our social software, overanalyzing ourselves. What if a Neanderthal mind lacked this software? They lacked the burden of anxiety. They lacked the virus of self-doubt. They didn't lie awake at 3 a.m. worrying about what if? They just were. A simpler, purer, more present form of human consciousness. So, let us paint the final picture. A world without us is a Neanderthal planet. It is today, 2025. The Great Ice Age may have never truly ended, as our agriculture and CO2 artificially warmed the planet. The world is cold. It is quiet. It is pristine. Billions, not thousands, of Neanderthals roam the continents, but they are not a civilization. They are a species, in perfect balance with their ecology. They live in their small family groups. They hunt their mammoths with their heavy stone spears. They care for their old. They feel the wind. They see in the dark. And they are content. There are no pyramids. There are no symphonies. There are no smartphones. But there is also no climate change, no nuclear war, no anxiety epidemic, no fatal flaw burning the planet down. This is the final paradox. By our standards, by the sapien standard of progress, growth, and change, the Neanderthal world is a failure, a stagnation. But by the standard of the planet Earth, by the standard of every other species, a world without our fictive, self-destructive software is the true victory. It forces us to ask the final question. In this human paradox, are we the species that won? Or are we just the species that happened to be left? And now, this alternate timeline rests with you. If you were given the choice, which world would you choose? The sapiens' world of progress and peril, or the Neanderthal world of stagnation and stability? Let me know your choice in the comments below. Jay.